everyone, it's Andy Kushner, host of The Wedding Biz. And before I begin, I want to mention that if you missed last week's episode, you have got to go back and check it out. Had an incredible conversation with Abby and Tate Larson of Style Me Pretty. That was something else, trust me. And I'm so excited because today, the day that this episode is being released on the 17th, I am actually in New York City to interview more icons of the business, including a second interview of Brian Raffanelli. We all know him. I know it is going to be a dynamic conversation. I'm also meeting for the first time Cece Johnson. Everyone knows her. She creates luxury wedding invitations and custom designed stationery. An amazing, amazing person and company. Also, introduced by Preston Bailey, I'm going to be meeting planner Jennifer Zabinski. Can't wait to sit down with Jennifer. And also, incredible photographer who I had the pleasure of meeting and getting to know at the last Engage in Banff, Andre Meyer. So it's going to be one incredible trip. I also want to mention that for those of you who are in New York City tonight, September 17th, I'm going to host a meetup. It's the first meetup of the Wedding Biz here in New York City tonight, Monday the 17th. It's going to be at 7 p.m. in the lounge of the Hilton Garden Inn in Chelsea at 121 West 28th Street between 6th and 7th. I'll repeat that in a moment. But it is a chance for like-minded people to come together to support and meet each other and network. I am really looking forward to meeting those of you who are listening to the show and are therefore invested in further educating and inspiring yourselves. So be sure to come say hello again tonight, Monday the 17th in Chelsea at the Hilton Garden Inn on 28th Street between 6th and 7th at 7 p.m. Can't wait to meet you. And if you forget, you can find the information on Instagram at Wedding Biz Show. So I want to announce who today's guest is, and that is a new conversation, a part 2 with Preston Bailey. I released part 1 on July 2nd, and that was actually a re-release from about a year ago because we had so many comments about it. So we have a new intro for it and the next level episode that goes with part 1 and also today with part 2. So this is a brand new conversation with Preston. He opened his design studio in 1980. He was named one of the best wedding designers in the world by Vogue Magazine. He's designed events for a client roster that includes celebrities, royal families, CEOs, and athletes. And he has created a number of art installations which are featured across the world with showcases in New York, Las Vegas, Hong Kong, Jakarta, Taiwan, Macao, and London. Preston has a tabletop linen collection, which is a collaborative effort with Nuage Designs. And he also supports the industry through his Preston Bailey Protégé program, through a series of specialized master classes that offer mentorship and education to industry professionals. You should definitely check out his Protégé program. He's also the author of 7 books, 5 of them bestsellers. He does speaking engagements, seminars, editorial profiles, and television and radio interviews. Preston is the real thing. We had such a great conversation. We went deep. I can't wait. You're about to hear it. And do not forget to listen to our follow-on segment with each interview, The Next Level, in which my co-host Melissa and I tease out some of the highlights of the interview to help break them down and deliver specific tactics and tips to raise your business to the next level. So now, my conversation with Preston Bailey. So, Preston, it is such a pleasure to sit down a second time with you on the microphone.
It's really good to see you, man. You have been so busy.
Yeah. Oh, you're aware of that?
Yes. What do you think? I don't listen to them?
I am honored. I am honored. Yeah, we were talking a minute ago about how I won't do Skype. I just want to be in person because how else do you connect with somebody?
I could not agree with you more. I mean, again, that face-to-face energy, looking in the eye thing.
Yeah.
It's very powerful, and a lot of good stuff comes out of it.
It is. It's interesting. This came up last night. I was so fortunate. Sylvia Weinstock cooked a dinner for me in her apartment.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was wonderful. I mean, she is such a special lady.
Oh my gosh. She's an institution. She's such a character, first of all. She's funny as hell. She really is.
I can't even, listen, this is being recorded. I can't even say 50% of what we were talking about. You know how she is, right?
She's amazing.
Oh, but really wonderful. And we were just talking about some of the most, real, deep, profound topics, you
know?
Right. And for her, the way she continues to experience joy, even in spite of what she's been through recently.
Yes. Her husband passed away.
Yes, after, I think, 70 years
70 years of marriage, exactly.
Yeah, she said, they grew up together and that he brought this joy, to her, and her eyes were just lit up. And
yeah, no, she really is amazing. Again, I want to be like Sylvia. The woman is 89 years old, and she has a memory. She has a memory. Like photographic. It's incredible.
It is incredible.
I don't remember what I saw yesterday. I really don't. But this woman.
No, you asked me what movie I just saw last weekend. Honest to God, I can't. I really can't.
It comes in and it goes out.
I know.
But she knows everyone's name. She remembers her clients from 20 years ago. She remembers what cake she did for everyone. She's amazing.
Well, the reason I bring her up is because she was asking me who I'm seeing, and I mentioned you that last night. I'm going to see you the next day. She absolutely loves you. And what she was talking about, which is what I also noticed when I met with you a year ago, is how personable and, I hate to use cliche words, but it's true, authentic, and how in the industry that is a special quality.
Thank you. I think, let's face it, we're just doing flowers and we're just designing. It's not like surgery. And I think sometimes we forget that. We have to forget to keep it real. And I think it's important. And this is something that I try to convey with my company, that we do this over-the-top events, but I insist for them to be very down-to-earth, and, we're not our clients.
It's interesting you say that, because even on the phone, I talked to various people, Patrick, Alejandro, Luis. Right. I'm not just saying this, Preston. Every single person I feel cared about. I feel like I'm the only person that's important to them right now. All three of them. I noticed that. And I didn't quite connect, but of course,
I really
you
appreciate
as the owner, sure, you're welcome. You set the tone.
Thank you. I think it's important. And I think one of the things that we have tried to work against is not the hype of what the business is, but always to remember that ultimately we're in the business of giving service. That's the bottom line.
Giving service.
We want clients to walk away and say, oh my God, they really took care of me. Whenever, and, let's face it, it's not easy. And I think the industry is getting a little bit more challenging. Clients are becoming a little bit savvier about everything. And I think their demands, and one of the biggest issues that we're still having is pricing.
How so?
Most clients, they shop around more than they used to, regardless of what position you're in. They will see 5 different people, and again, the ultimate, I think, misfortune is that most clients do not know what things actually cost. And everyone comes in with a very big dream, which I think is wonderful. They're getting married, they're having an event, they want it to be fantastic. But ultimately, they have no idea what things cost.
They're making assumptions, aren't they?
They're making assumptions. And, and I think Instagram has been incredible for all of us. But at the same time, it's the devil as far as the clients are concerned, because they see these amazing images and they don't know what they cost, and they come into us with these images. It's like, they're
saying, I want this.
Yeah, which of course is such a curse, because as you come to me, I'm not going to copy somebody else's work.
Yeah, of course.
To begin with.
Right.
But but the reality, as I've learned, is that they basically don't know what things cost. And that always create that moment of trying to educate them and try to be realistic and say, this is what you want, but this is basically, you could get something wonderful for this. So I think pricing is still a big challenge that I confront, and I'm sure many other people do also.
And I could be wrong, but I thought last time when we spoke, we talked about how you will purposely not get involved in pricing, right? To kind of retain that relationship with the client, which is what I do also, and have someone else present it. On the other hand, it's coming up in conversation, isn't it? More. I
think it's very important that me as the creator, let's say the creative person of the company, that we separate that. You're 100% right. But still, somebody has to discuss it.
Yeah. So how can you tell me more how you handle that?
Yes, I have someone in my company that clearly the client comes in. This is the process. They call us, we come in, I have a meeting with them. We discuss the vision and what things they're dreaming. I explain to them very clearly what we have to offer. And then if we decide to work with each other, I usually ask them for a deposit for a save the date. And at that moment, we start designing. And what we do is, I have learned that it's easier to give options of design than just one. So I don't mind doing the extra work and giving 3 different options of design for them to see. Right after that, then we start pricing everything.
Oh, that's when you start pricing.
Correct.
Okay. So when they come back and they, have these assumptions and they're like, oh, I didn't expect that or whatever, do you train your staff to be able to handle that? Or do you get involved at all when that starts to occur?
That's a very good question, actually. Whenever we are presenting the job, that is an educational moment that we say.
So you're anticipating it in a sense.
Correct. And we present it all by renderings, which I think one of the strongest sales tool is for them to see not what they were visualizing, but see it on paper.
Yeah.
And let's say if we do a rendering of a ballroom, we could start educating them and say, by the way, this table is going to have this arrangement, and this arrangement goes from this range to this range. Oh my God, are you crazy? No, the reason why it goes for that price is because the flowers cost this, and we have to mark it up this. I don't mind telling clients how we make our profit.
Well, because you charge a design fee, don't you?
I think it's important. I think the level of all of that design work and all of that time that goes into it, yes, we do charge a design fee.
Right. So why not be transparent with the cost then?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, and I always put myself in my client's position. We all shop for things, and you want to be informed. You want to know exactly. You don't want to feel that anyone is taking advantage of you.
Yeah.
And I think the best way that you could possibly combat that is by educating them. So I don't do the educating with pricing, but somebody in my company does. I do the visuals and the fantasy, and oh my God, and this could look like this. Right. And we're coming up, most of the clients that come to us, they want something that is unique and different. It's not easy all the time because, what's unique and different to me is usually not what's unique and different to them. So there's always there's always a dance to find that middle ground, But as I said, I think the most important thing for companies that are trying to create something that is unique is education.
Also, you were talking a little bit earlier about, how it is getting more challenging because they're more educated. And you said demands, too. They're getting more demanding. Are you talking in terms of price, or it's some other factors that they're getting more demanding?
I think they are much more savvy. I remember that I could call myself the grandfather of the event business. I've been around for 30 years.
You don't look like a grandfather.
Thank you.
Listen, I know your age, Preston, and last year you were cut. You are still you're rocking it, man.
Thank you.
I want your trainer.
No, believe me, I don't do drugs, but I do gym.
Yeah, right. Right.
But anyhow, I forgot your question. What was the question?
I did too. No, I'm kidding. It was about that consumers are, from being more savvy, educated, they're also getting more demanding.
And I think they're more demanding because they see what's out there. The information is more readily online and social media.
I see.
Their expectations.
That's right.
They are socialized. It's much more advanced, as I was saying, than 20 years ago or even 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And they also are more savvy and pricing. They know what things actually cost because, if I say they could go online and shop around for a centerpiece that someone might have it 50% less than what we are proposing.
Yeah.
So, I think that brings a lot more, they have much more information whenever we're talking about pricing and whenever we're talking about design. They're much more savvy.
Also, I think people out there listening would assume that, you're Preston Bailey and you barely have to really compete. There's still situations where, like you say, you still have to justify, right?
I don't think it is not only a matter of justifying
or maybe messaging the value. Making sure that they understand. That's what I mean.
I think, and I really believe this, by the way, clients forget things really quickly. And I think we are in an industry that, because there's so much exposure of images, the importance of keeping relevant and fresh is more challenging than it has ever been. Yeah. And clearly we've been around for a while. Clearly, thank God, certain people know my name, but it's important to put out work that is different and unique.
You have to
otherwise you are forgotten very quickly. Quicker than ever before, I think.
Interesting.
Because there's so many talent and so many people that are doing amazing work out there. I can think of so many of them right now. Yeah. But, so I think keeping relevant and looking at the next job as a showcase to come up with work that is unique and important is really very important.
There was someone I sat down with on the mic recently who said that they feel that they have to reinvent themselves with every single job. And this was also someone like yourself who's been in the industry a very long time, that they had to, and I thought, wow, it's what a challenge and pressure. On the other hand, I feel that innovators, it's kind of natural. I don't know about you. I love that. I want to. And last time a year ago, we talked about someone like Madonna.
Right.
And we were talking about artists, right? Yeah. Who come back, reinvent themselves. I don't know that she's necessarily. Of course, she puts a lot of work into it, but I don't know that she's just sweating. I think that's who she is. Don't you feel in a sense that reinventing yourself, it's almost a way of life?
I think it is, and I think certain businesses do it more conscious than others. For instance, the fashion industry, these fashion designers, they have to come up with 2, 3, 4 collections a year. Yeah. And each collection is viewed tremendously by the press. So you better have a point of view to express. So I like that model. Yeah. I like that model that you're forced to actually sit down and come up with something that is different. Yeah. Which, unfortunately, in the event world, we don't get that opportunity as much. But I love that pattern. And, I try to do the same thing, by the way. I try to come up with these designs that at least I use 2 or 3 times a year and then don't use again. And try to come up with something different. Yeah. And I think it's the only way to remain relevant in this market.
We interviewed you about a year ago, released it a few months later. So in the past year, roughly, has there been some revelations, epiphanies for you? Can you think of any in particular where it was a big aha moment?
Right.
Something new for you.
I think we did the wedding for Serena Williams.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Got a lot of press. Yeah.
It did. And one of the things that I've learned that I found that it was much more fascinating than any other time of my life is how much I'm influenced by people that I work with because they're so inspiring. And, I'm fortunate enough to work with clients that have seen it all, of clients that are artists, clients that are powerhouse like this woman, like Serena, and to see what they bring to the table and what we could create between the two of us in this one venture, for me, has become much more powerful than ever before.
Interesting. I wouldn't think that.
Absolutely. To meet someone that has, this woman, again, she brings her power from her sports to her life.
Right.
And to be part of that and to have that. So lately I've been enjoying clients that challenge me. That say, I had this client, and I have to tell this story because it's so amazing. I had this client that I did her wedding last weekend, and when she came in, she said, I want something that is so different that I've never been seen before. I was in heaven. And the first day that I had a presentation with her, I showed her all this incredible work, and she hated all of it.
Oh, no, come on.
Absolutely hated it. So again, and what happened was that I went too far. I went to an area where she could not relate. I made it more about me and not about her. Went back to the drawing board, redrew everything, listened to her. She wanted something that looks like master paintings, came up with it. idea of interpreting master painting that it wasn't mine, that was hers. And ultimately, she was happy.
Yeah.
So, and I tell that story because even these clients that I'm claiming that you want them to be, that I love the idea that I was able to get out of my head and get into her head and, stop being egotistic, I'm the designer and I'm going to do these fabulous things, and really get down to what she actually wanted. And it was a very humbling lesson to me.
Wow, interesting. Well, and with Serena, from what I understand, what I read, she wanted a modern style ball.
Correct. She wanted a ballroom. She loved Versailles and she loved everything.
Uh-huh.
And, I don't know if you saw pictures of the wedding.
I did.
Sitting in these 2 chairs that from a king and queen. But she wanted something that was unique and came up with this crazy idea of doing these bird cages on the ceiling full with chandeliers. Just to give it a little bit, instead of hanging. What do you think when you think of a ball? Is hang a million chandeliers. So I thought, let's do something a little bit more different.
Yeah.
She ate it up, but she challenged me. I'm finding that after all these years, that's what really keeps me going.
Yeah.
The client that challenged me and not the client that said, oh no, we love you, Preston. We want everything.
Right.
But I like the challenge.
Well, it's like still as an artist, right? It's still feeling pushed, and going over that edge, over it.
I think it's a combination of being an artist and also being in service.
Oh, see, right. In service. Yeah.
Remember, the famous artists of the world, they painted for themselves and brought it to the world. They didn't have to please anyone. I think being an event designer is a different dynamic. We have to be creative, but we also have to be very in tune to what the person wants.
Yeah. What an incredible time that must have been. I want to take a moment and mention how Preston talked about the constant need to reinvent himself and his business. He has been around for decades and never ceases to find new ways to take his design to new places, which is so inspiring for all of us to do the exact same thing. It is critical. And so there's an absolutely incredible over-the-top band that performs events worldwide and has been for 20 years. Sound Connection is the quintessential example of how an event band should never stop innovating and transforming themselves. They do it year after year after year. Not only are they seasoned, they keep youth in the band. They constantly innovate. It never ends. They are just getting better and better every single year. If you want to learn more about Sound Connection, go to theweddingbiz.com/Sound Connection. That's theweddingbiz.com/Sound Connection. And now back to my conversation with Preston Bailey. I also want to ask you, last time we spoke a lot about transformation.
Right.
Your example was Joan Rivers when she said to you, Preston, I want to think of an opera, and the emotional impact, at that moment. And you said that was a pivotal moment for you. You also talked about making and losing fortunes.
Right.
I wonder, first of all, with transformation, have you learned anything even new about transformation in the past couple of years that has changed maybe yet again your perspective on that?
Right. Well, again, I think there's something very magical about transformation. What is transformation exactly? Is taking a room that exists and changing it to a room that is a completely different, that has a point of view, that has a dream. There's something, I think, very magical about that. I think that's what the clients that come to me, that's what they're looking for. I remember that these are clients that have seen everything. So they want that moment of, oh my God, the guests walk in. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
I think for me, that's still one of the most important part of my business. To be able to supply that, to stand at the entrance and see people's faces whenever they walk in. It's like, holy shit, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
And again, there's a lot of jaded New Yorkers like, oh, well, there goes Preston again with the same thing, But I think there's something wonderful about transformation. And I think it's something that I would like to continue doing for the rest of my life. And I think it's done much more often now than it has ever been done before. I think clients are requesting not only to me.
Yeah, they're aware and they think of it in that way. Yeah. Well, and also for Serena Williams, what I read was that there was an after party where the ceremony was. So, so you did this changeover, during the reception, and again, yet another dramatic transformation.
Yes, and I think everyone knows that the most dramatic things at a wedding or an event is surprises. So the fact that they walk into this room where the ceremony was, that it was so totally transformed, and in the middle of it, there was a live carousel that they didn't see before. And, we sort of had it concealed that it was there. And all of a sudden, the kabuki curtain drops and this amazing carousel appears.
Halfway through the after party, you're saying?
The after party, exactly. While they're dancing, of course, everybody jumped at the carousel and they started turning.
That's brilliant.
For a moment there, I was a little bit nervous that it would break or something with it then, thank God. But I think those surprises is what, people are there for 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
If you're not surprised, you get bored.
Well, I'm also thinking too that it's interesting that they had been in that room. So they knew that they had the picture. They already had this experience of the ceremony. Right. Obviously they then go, there's the cocktails, there's the reception, and yet something else. So they're going back to the ceremony room. They have that in their mind.
Correct.
And I know your work. I can imagine when they walked in, it just had to be, where am I? Did I just get transported like on Star Trek to a whole nother planet?
Yeah, am I drunk? That what happened? No, I said it's fun. That's really, I think it's wonderful to create those moments of surprise and party.
We also talked about concerts and how influenced, well, both of us are. You were talking about being influenced by concerts, and you have a book, I believe, of set design for concerts. And we had talked about some examples. Have there been any concerts that have really, because I know you go a lot, to be inspired? Anything in the past year or so that you can think of that just knocked you out?
Well, again, Miss Beyonce's, her concerts.
Oh, I'm envious. I missed it, Preston. I
missed it. I think they are video mapping. People have gone a little bit crazy with video mapping.
Yeah.
As before, they did a lot of construction and video mapping. Now they cheat and have a lot of screens that they keep changing. She went both ways.
Did she?
She gave you video mapping, but also the stage was really amazing.
Yeah.
And, they're incredible. I wish I could have followed her to different cities.
That would be interesting. Yeah. And also to see what they tweak and things like that, too.
How it works.
Yeah, don't you think? She must.
And of course, obviously they have it done to science that it repeats, and it's, I'm sure the consistency is important, but it's always good to see the slight changes that happen.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, with Beyonce, I can't imagine. And when I'm at a concert, I am just immediately getting all these images and hearing all these different sounds. Right. Aren't you doing that in the moment?
Absolutely. You're paying more attention to the lighting and what images are coming on and the different changes.
And you're thinking what you could do with it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Please, Broadway. Broadway is like the biggest
and you're right here.
Inspiration in the world with set design. Remember, I think a lot of what we do in the wedding and event business, it's sets, creating different sets and magical moments and scrims and whatever, so yes, I try to get as much inspiration as possible.
I want to come back to the business of business because obviously, in order to do what you're doing, there is that aspect too. And we did speak, and actually we re-released it, I think it was the end of June or something like that, and called it Part 1, and people can listen to that. You made a reference to making and losing fortunes.
Right.
So I was at a conference recently, people are dressed well and smiling. There's also a lot of people, there's also a lot of fear. There's all kinds of other stuff going on beneath the surface with a lot of people, what's going on. How do you handle when you're having financial stress and still be creative and still do it?
Believe me, I could write a book on this.
Let's go.
And I've been in business for 38 years. Yeah. I've learned one thing that is consistent. You are going to have those amazing years. Yeah. And you're going to have those years that you don't know how to pay your employees.
Really? Even in your level?
Absolutely. I think it was a few years, four years back or so. Business was not that great. 2009. Business was terrible with the recession and nobody was entertaining. And, you have this overhead, people's livelihood. Clearly, you sort of survive it and, take money out of whatever. But it's really, the thing is that you have to be prepared for those dry years. And whenever those years are fantastic, you have to feel very blessed and very thankful, and make sure that you put away an essay, because it's going to happen, and it happens again. I'm not one of those designers that for all these years that it kept getting bigger and bigger and better and bigger. No, we have had great years, and the terrible years are no fun at all. Lying in bed at night.
I was going to say, how do you keep, are you feeling, pit in the stomach and all of that? How do you deal with that?
And again, I don't want to get all religious on you, but I really have faith that things changes and that things get better, and that there's something that needs to be improved, that you have to keep reinventing again. There's something that you're doing that has to change and that you have to tweak. And in my experience, if you're hanging long enough and you are honest about it, I'm one of those people in telling people that I'm having a bad year and help.
Really?
Absolutely.
How does that look? What do you mean? What are you saying? I don't understand.
I don't think there's anything wrong in going to your friends and to your business associates and say, listen, this year is very challenging. Could you help me along with work? Is there any recommendations that you could make? People have come to me with the same request. And how could you say no? And especially these are people that in the industry and work with them. But I think that vulnerability and being open about it and not lying and saying, oh my God, everything is great and wonderful. And I think that vulnerability and asking for help is the best way to weather these terrible years whenever they happen.
Yeah, that I would think that would be really hard to do for people, but I love what you're advising here.
And I'm not suggesting that it's easy for me to do. I'm like the proudest person in the world. But whenever you cannot pay your employees, you better suck it up and go ask for help.
And reach out.
Of course.
That is really wonderful. Also, you were talking about, people assumptions about you and all of that. I think there's also almost a delusion that there's this finish line. And that someone like yourself, a lot of the people on the show have reached this finish line, and they're just there.
Which again, I think is I'm going to reach there when I'm dead.
I was going to say, when I'm 6 feet under,
Exactly.
That's finished.
But besides from that, I think it's important that all of us look at life as you have to keep growing and you have to keep changing and you have to keep challenging yourself. And as I'm 69 years old, it's not easy, but I have to force myself to learn new things. I was just talking about Sylvia Weinstein. The woman is 89, 90, and she have always done that.
She has.
She have always come up with something different. And I think the people that I've known that are my age, that are getting older, that have done that, they survive longer. They get sick less, whatever.
That's right.
But I think the importance of really keep growing and reading and studying and spending an hour or two in the morning in writing things down and learning, I think that's essential.
You still do the morning pages that we talked about?
I could not live without
You wake up and 20, 30 minutes just write without editing yourself. It's stream of consciousness.
With long hands. This way you don't,
that's right. Not on the computer.
And a lot of times it's just bitching and complaining about stuff.
Just get it out, right? So you can have your day.
Sometimes great ideas happen. You have an idea and it's sort of you plant the idea. Yes, absolutely. I still love doing that.
We talked about that. I said I had done it for some years. I have not done that. I'm being inspired now. I think I'm going to go back and do it again.
You will be amazed and again, maybe it's a little bit of my magical thinking. You will be amazed. I think I told you that most of the things that I've written down that I've wanted have come through.
Wow.
And again, it's a matter of planting the seed. You have to at least write it down. Otherwise, it sort of stays out there.
Right.
And, it's just a matter of writing it down. And then, of course, you have to act. You have to make it happen.
You still have the protégé program, right?
I do have the protégé program.
Can you tell me a little something about that?
Yes. I don't know. I think a few years back, I thought that it was great to, I've been very lucky in the industry to maybe have a few students in my office and study this program of teaching for 2 or 3 days, teaching about business, about floral design, about event design. And to my surprise, it's taken off tremendously.
I'm not surprised.
And we have done it in Mexico, in Panama, in Colombia. We just did it in Italy not very long ago, in Cartagena. So I'm very proud of that program. And I think I kind of look forward to it now.
Yeah.
Because for 2 or 3 days, I play the wise old man in teaching and very open and tell them, this is what you could avoid not doing. And this is what I think I've learned that works, and I think I found it very inspiring.
Connected to this, we gave an opportunity to our listeners to submit a question, and we picked one for you. Sure. So this person, I'm sure, would love to be in the program. Right. She is Kelly Jackstein, I hope I'm saying that right.
Hi, Kelly.
Of Artisan Bloom. She said, Preston, if you had one tip for a floral designer in the process of scaling her business, what would it be?
The tip is very simple. As a floral person, and I think I mentioned this before, this industry survives with things that are new and that are different. Mm-hmm. And I know that you're probably looking at a million images. Try to come up with something that is so unique. And remember that with flowers, you're dealing with a vase and with flowers. What can you do with the vase? What can you do with the flowers that is different and unique? And just keep trying it until eventually people will see.
And then that's when the scale comes.
That's when it comes.
So it's a more indirect, I love that. People will notice, you're saying.
Absolutely. One of the questions that I've always gotten is, Preston, how did you get into the high-end, so to speak, market? I make that in quotation. It's very simple. I've always tried to do something that is different. Not better. I'm not suggesting that I'm better than anyone else or that my work is so fabulous or whatever, but it's just different. Yeah. And I think eventually, if you keep that path, clients will come, the budgets will come, the profits will come.
That is wonderful. I think it's wonderful advice. One last question before we wrap up. So how do you view success?
I am not one of those persons that views success with a big house and with a big car.
Okay.
I live in a 1,000 square foot apartment in Manhattan City. Beautiful apartment with great windows and good vibes.
Yeah.
But I think that for me, it's material things is not that important. I'm not saying that it's bad, but it's just not my priority. My priority is the fact that I'm able to afford whatever I want, one. Secondly, that I keep reinventing myself, reinventing my business, being creative. Inspiring myself, I think, is one of the most important things to me, and that I have a base of friends and families that I can rely on, and they can rely on me. Yeah. For me, that have always been my priority. So, I'm not the big houses scare me. I see that on vacation and I see, but for me, it's much more important to keep challenging myself and growing.
I love that. God, Preston, thank you again for sitting down with me. I might be coming back to you like once a year, when you're 85. It's like, Preston, this is the 15th one. What have you learned lately?
And it's always a pleasure. Thank you very much. And keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, thanks for saying that.
Bye-bye.
Well, thank you for listening to my conversation with Preston Bailey. Be sure to check out all the show notes and our wonderful website at theweddingbiz.com. Don't forget that we launched the Wedding Biz Network, beginning with Julie Sabatino of The Stylish Bride. Go to theweddingbiznetwork.com to check that out. And very soon, we're going to have an enormous announcement about someone new who's joining. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with your friends and colleagues. Review it. It helps new people find us. And don't forget to listen to The Next Level. And next week's guest is going to be Pablo Oliveira, the founder of Nuage Designs. Pablo is such a great guy. He was so humble, a really wonderful interview. So be sure to tune in next week. I'll see you then, everyone. Thanks for listening to The Wedding Biz.